At the time of recording this video, it's been almost 12 months since the launch of ChatGPT, OpenAI's new flagship product that comprehensively changed a huge number of industries overnight. So now we're approaching that 12-month mark. Are we going into a sophomore slump? Are we starting to see our prompts spitting out the same content, that monotone, regurgitated information that just doesn't quite do it for us? Regurgitated information that just doesn't quite do it for us. Or we're finding that all of our results from our prompts start with, in a digital world, or in this fast growth digital world, you know where I'm going. The content is starting to feel a little bit the same, but that's probably down to you. And today I'm going to hopefully prove that we can get the results we want by adjusting our prompts, what we call prompt engineering, to give ChatGPT more valuable information and less waffle through our prompts, so we get smart, consistent, on-brand results. That's my plan, and if it fails, we'll just blame it on AI. Let's go take a look.
Let's kick things off with our quick-fire tips to get you up and running with prompt engineering. Tip number 1, identify your goal. Clearly define what you want to achieve with ChatGPT to set the direction for your prompts. Tip number 2, embrace roleplay. Assign ChatGPT a role that fits your objective, whether it's an expert or a storyteller, to contextualize its responses. Tip number 3, choose the right tone. Pick a tone that resonates with your audience and aligns with your message, enhancing the AI communication style. And finally, tip number 4, get down to detail with priming by tweaking your results. Use feedback to refine your prompt until you hit the sweet spot where the AI consistently delivers what you need. It's a process of trial, feedback, and adjustment.
Okay, so I'm in ChatGPT, and we're going to use GPT 3.5, which is compatible with the free version, so we don't have to worry about ChatGPT Plus. Especially important for those who are just wanting to dip the toe in the water with this and see if they can improve their prompts without using the latest engine. GPT-4, and there's actually GPT-4 Turbo coming out soon. This is a more advanced, more capable editor. It takes a little bit longer to produce the results, but it goes into more depth and has better reasoning. However, we should be able to achieve what we want with 3.5. And I use this for quick day-to-day output results. If you want serious results, though, it's worth considering purchasing ChatGPT Plus, which is around $20 a month, maybe a little bit less, about $15 a month. Okay, so first off, let's create a generic version of a prompt, and we're going to use our Pixelhaze Studio as an example. So I'll just head over and see what the key message is here. So we got that introduction title there. We've got a breakdown in terms of the different services available, some signposting. Yeah, I think we're just going to go for a generic website introduction. That's a pretty standard post. It's not bad stuff. We look at here, local expertise, because I actually prompted it. What we could do is actually make it more generic than that again, because I still think that's probably a bit better than what I was hoping for as a result, so as strange as that sounds. So here's a good example. Again, the language isn't terrible, and it certainly is a starting point. We start with the problem, then we get the no further, which is one of a series of generic responses you get when you don't put a huge amount of effort into creating your prompts. There's no prompt engineering here at all. I could even make it more simple again. The reason I started a new chat is because the history of the chat will affect the later prompts. It gives us an unfair advantage when we go from putting more detail in, like I did last time, when we look to reduce it, because it will cheat and get information from that, which is what we want most of the time. But here is to just show you an example of a pretty generic result from a half-hearted prompt input. We can break it down into a number of steps. First of all, we need to define what we want. What's the objective of this prompt? What do we want ChatGPT to come back with? We actually did that here. Second up, we have roleplay. There's nothing kinky going on here. Essentially, what we're looking for is ChatGPT to take on a persona. Now, we can either do this first or third person. For example, I could put, we are Pixelhaze. Okay, that's quite a long, detailed section in the prompt, but this is all valuable information that ChatGPT can use to engineer the response for this. And the great thing is we don't have to put this in every time. I've got Grammarly installed, so it means I can tidy up any grammatical or spelling issues. Now, ChatGPT will, as long as we don't spell our company name wrong, for example, it will overlook and move past a number of typos within our content. The more quality content we can feed in, the best results we're going to get in return. I like to put a paragraph break in. It doesn't really matter. Here, we're going to choose a style. It needs to be friendly, approachable, but professional. Try to avoid industry jargon. Our whole ethos is to demystify technology, even though it says it above. Try and avoid. Let's get that right. That's the style. And I think we're probably ready now to put this in. We could put some instructions over the length and the build of the result. It needs to be roughly 100 words with a strapline. So that might be too much, but we can trim it down in the next prompt. We're going to try that as a starting point. And this is where we follow up. And what I'm doing now is asking it to put a series of checklist bullet points below the paragraph. I haven't put what I want in those, because it should automatically get that information from the information that we fed in. We can go to our website and just copy all the content, paste it in and say, this is the content that we're going to be based on. But I wanted something a little bit more focused. And so that's why I manually inputted these prompts. But the difference between this and this is essentially 5 minutes of extra work, if that, because we can save our prompts. And I usually use Google Keep or Evernote just to save these prompts so I can use them in future so I don't have to retype them out each time. That's optional, but recommended. The more we use ChatGPT, the more important these are. We can go back and go into our chat history and go back and work with these in future and just pick up where we left off. But we should only be doing this for content for our website. So I could do one final change before we wrap up. So I'm going to give it some positive feedback. I'm being really lazy now and just asking it to put it all together. So what's it done here is it's taken a step further and it's truncated this section as well. It's really down to personal taste now. Do I want shorter bullet points? And I could put infographics on these just to get to the point. And I think that's probably what I would go for, because the visuals are what will sell on our website. We just want to get to the point straight away. We're answering the question who, what, where, when, why, how in a succinct way as possible. And it does a lot of this already. I wouldn't even accept this as my final website content. I'd go through and refine it and improve it because I'm based on a good starting point as opposed to staring at a blank screen. But hopefully this tutorial today has just given you an idea of how we can take a prompt like this, where most people go wrong. They see this, they're not happy with the result, and they will take it into Microsoft Word, for example, and edit it manually. Whilst if we go with a more detailed prompt, it creates greater influence and we're producing better quality feeding into the machine, so it's spitting out better results at the other side. This was okay, but again, that's still pretty bland. Everything's in one paragraph. The paragraph's probably a little too long for someone just to skim read and get a snapshot of what we can do for them. We're looking at heading for this, and now we put it together. That was too long, so we trimmed it down. We then put the bullet points in. And sometimes if we want to keep this the same, we can copy that section. This is something I do a lot as well. I will repaste in what I already like and ask it to add a call to action to that information. So what we're doing is we're zoning in on the content that we're happy with. If there's something we dismissed in the past, it's not going back and pulling that out. So it's now taking its time a little bit. This basically provides a call to action. We might want that below. Again, I can change this on the website directly. I could also ask it to give me 5 different call to actions for that content. If we find that that's a bit generic, we can either take a section of this, we can take it all. This one's straight out of the Alex Hormozi playbook, but where we can add urgency or scarcity. This puts a degree of limited availability and urgency to the content. We want people to act now or the fear of missing out, FOMO, and that's how we can enhance it even further. So we take this generic introduction that everyone sees everywhere now because of ChatGPT, and then we've got this as our final result. Far more succinct, far more sales-driven without being too over the top. It's not too colloquial because if you remember, we engineered in that prompt that we wanted it to remain professional. And if we felt that this was going a little too familiar, we could make it more professional again by fine-tuning it. But I hope that's given you a really good example of how we can work with ChatGPT as a personal assistant to speed up the process of creating effective content, as opposed to just putting in one simple prompt and expecting it to work miracles. Let's stack the odds in our favour by working with it. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.